How you guys doing? Jaiya Figueras here on the Cast Not Bear Sports Podcast. We're thrilled to welcome a true phenom in the world of track and field, Jaiya Patillo. At 16 years old, Jaiya has already made waves on the national stage, earning countless titles and smashing records in the 200 and the 400-meter events. She is a 7-time national champion in the 400 meters, and she's a 10th grader in high school right now. She's known not only for her blazing speed, but also her inspiring dedication and positive energy. She captured the attention of sports fans and young athletes alike. Beyond her incredible performance on the track, Jaiya uses her platform to motivate others that with hard work and a winning mindset, anything is possible. Whether it's dominating the finish line or sharing her journey with the next generation, Jaiya is a force to be reckoned with. We can't wait to dive into her journey, training secrets, and what's on her path to greatness. Jaiya is also joined by her parents, Cherie and Kevin Patillo. Let's get this started. How you going?
Hello. We're good. Yes.
Just want to get right into these questions right away. What are some shout outs? Shout out to your greatest supporters, Jaiya.
Well, definitely shout out to both of my parents. They're my biggest supporters. Shout out to all my fans on Instagram and the people who have been following me on my journey. Shout out to Jackie Joyner-Kersey, as well as Jennifer Hudson, and also as well as Johnny Knoxville.
Ooh, those are some big names right there. So Jaiya, can you tell us a little bit about your journey in track and field and how it started?
Yes, I started running when I was 7 years old. I didn't know that I had a natural gift at the time, but I've definitely just been going through a lot of big things in my track career ever since. When I first started, my first year, I actually made it to nationals, so that was a really big thing. And then from there, how I started going viral and, going on Instagram and social media was from one of my coaches posting me running 17 miles per hour on the treadmill. And so that was when I started going viral, and then a bunch of people started seeing me. And before then, I had ran at a college track meet when I was only 9 years old. Was that right? Yes, when I was only 9 years old. So that one ended up on Flow Track. And then from there, it's just been uphill, and so many doors have really opened for me. And I've won a college track meet since then. How many college track meets now?
You won 6.
I've won 6 college track meets since then. And I've also gone viral multiple times for that as well. And I've broken the state record in the 200 and the 400 meters. So, and I'm also a 16-time junior Olympian and 7-time national champion.
Wow, that is amazing. I've seen some of your videos when you're running against those college athletes, and they're giant compared to you. They look so giant, and you're just boom, 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 outrunning them. So yeah, it's an odd sight to see somebody so small beating people that are so big, So, Mom, how did you first realize that Jaiya had a talent for track and field?
I learned it as we went. My husband was the one who just knew from the start, from infancy, when she was running around in her walker. He was just noticing a stride, which, in his mind, he's already athletic and has run track. And so he's seeing this is a runner. She's going to be a runner. And so he saw that from the very beginning stages. And from my perspective, it was just, when we introduced her to it, it was just a natural thing that came to her. Like she said, it was a natural gift to begin. And so start to see that natural gift and us trying to cultivate it. It was just one of those situations where it was like, this is a gift God has given her. And we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to help it develop to what he's designed for her to be, and it's just been humbling to see how her path has gone at such a young age. And so just going along with it and making sure that we take care of the gift and help cultivate her as best as we can. So that's how it just came along with the package. With Jaiya came this blessing. And so we're just trying to make sure that we are doing what we can to support her.
So she started at 7 years old. How did you figure out, how many times should she train a week? How did you come up with that as like a parent? Should she train 3 times a week for every day? Like, and you as a parent, when she was first starting, like, how did you figure out what her training schedule should be like?
Yeah.
Well, we pretty much had a coach in mind, and that coach, he's just recently passed. Lefty, he's one of the pioneers in USATF track and field, and Jaiya ran for his team. So we knew of him. His reputation was very broad in the realm of track and field. So we put her up under him, and he trained her the whole 9 yards, and we were spectators. So we trusted him because he was very knowledgeable and fluent in his practice. I mean, the man was so deep into his craft in track and field. He even had grants to pay our way to the nationals. So he was a professional in track and field.
Right.
So we let him take the helm from the beginning, and then once we saw what he was doing, and we are a military family, so we had to move. I took over training from that point.
Oh, okay. Where'd you move?
So
where'd you move from, and then where do you stay now?
We moved from Ohio to Nebraska, but we still live in Ohio part-time and Nebraska part-time as well, and building a third house in the great state of Texas.
Jaiya, what's a typical training day look like for you?
Well, during season, I train about 4 times a week, taking off the day before my race and the day after. My typical training schedule is like a mix of running and conditioning and strength as well, because all those 3 components are really important. So I at least do strength about 1 to 2 times a week. And then I just run the other days of the week and incorporate other things like the treadmill, a technique, things like that as well. And part of training is also just making sure I have a clean diet for the most part during track season, because that's really important to how I perform. So that's kind of how I focus my track season around. And then in off season, I just make sure I stay conditioned, training at least like 3 to 4 times a week still, just not doing as much of impact depending on what time of the season it is.
And as far as in season, are you practicing with the track team, or do you have your own like?
Well, my dad is pretty much my coach. He trains me most of the time, but we have other kids who are training with us now too. So it's kind of like having a team.
Okay.
I also have a strength center that I go to.
Okay.
I think it's awesome.
Jaiya, what's been your proudest moment in track so far?
I would probably say the time that I won the AAU Nationals is my proudest moment. Also, winning my first college track meet, those are both 2 of my big accomplishments, because I feel like winning the college track meet is like, it's shocking to you and to other people. So it's just like a big accomplishment knowing that you were able to achieve that. And knowing I was able to achieve that was definitely big. And then for me, winning the AAU Nationals, because I know it was like such a big competition, and being able to say that I won that shows me like how all my hard work paid off, and shows me how capable I am and how all the discipline and training really paid off in the end. So those are 2 things that I'm really proud of.
But here's a question I was just thinking about. What time do you go to sleep? Like, how many hours do you, because I have a 12-year-old kid and he's on these dang games, and I'm like, man, like, how much sleep do you get?
I understand that, because sometimes my sleep schedule is a bit off, but I try to go to sleep around 10 to 11 if I can.
If you can.
If I can. I'm really busy sometimes. I'm really busy sometimes.
Do you play Fortnite or any games like that?
No, not really.
Okay.
I don't anymore.
Anymore. Okay. When did you stop playing games?
Well, I used to play Roblox a lot, and like sometimes Minecraft. I played those when I was like preteen.
Oh,
to 14.
So you're 14.
And then I stopped. I feel like I stopped in high school, because that was when I got the most busy.
Okay.
So probably when I was like 13 or 14.
Okay, great. I have a 12-year-old, so I'm trying to get some advice here.
I can imagine.
Next question for Jaiya. How do you mentally prepare for a race? So let's say you have a race in 1 hour. You have a race in an hour. How do you mentally prepare for that? Are there any mantras or Bible scriptures or anything that how do you lock in before a race?
I feel like whenever I know a race is coming up, it always leads up to that day. And that day, I feel like I'm really like zoned in kind of to the race because I always know when it's race day and like I'm just focusing on preparing for that. So I just prepare by like before my races, I always say a scripture. I say Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And before that, I'm just kind of like thinking about going through my race in my head, thinking about the things that I can work on and the things that I'm going to do in order to perform the best that I possibly can from all the things that I've learned. That's kind of what I'm focused on before my races. And I'm just like thinking about that, like in that zone all day until after the race.
Do you read that once, or are you repeating that? Are you repeating that over and over again? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I know what you're saying. I feel like I do kind of repeat it to myself. I just say it. I feel like I say that scripture a lot, even when it's outside of the track world. I just say it when I'm feeling like nervous or something. It just gives me more confidence knowing that God is with me so I can do anything that I want to, basically, anything I'm capable of. And so I repeat it like before I'm about to run. And then before then, when I'm just praying that I do well, I always say that scripture.
So that's very interesting. When I first came out of college and I was practicing, I was training to go to the NFL. I spent, you spend a lot of time training on your own, so it's hard to stay motivated. And I read a book. It was from a long distance runner, and the long distance runner was saying what helped him was mantras, and what he would do is as he was running, he'd just keep repeating the mantra over and over and over again, and that would make time disappear. It really just affects your whole entire reality. Yeah. So some people say mantras. Some people repeat mantras. Other people do scriptures like yourself. So I'm definitely a big believer in scriptures and mantras and phrases or powerful sentences that just help you perform at your highest. So that's great. Can you share a story about a race that didn't go as planned and then how you learned from it?
I would say one of my races from last year, one of the nationals from last year, I would say that one is one that I learned from because I feel like I didn't perform as well as I had imagined that I was going to. And that wasn't a great feeling afterwards. I definitely feel like I was really disappointed in myself, really upset that I didn't do what I wanted to do. But I feel like I've learned from that, knowing that, okay, now I know how to prepare. Now I know what to do differently in order to perform how I want to. And it won't always work out exactly how I'm imagining in my head. But, as long as I know that I did everything that I can before then, that's what really matters.
After that performance, what did you tweak in your preparation? What kind of things what one main thing did you change to help you?
I feel like it changed my mindset a little bit in the sense that I know I have to do certain things now in order to prepare. And I can't take anything for granted, really. So I have to know that, like, you have to do a lot of things to get ready for a race and a lot of things to be ready and know that you're ready. And I feel like that's one thing that's changed for me. Yeah. Now I go into races knowing whether I'm for sure ready or whether I just think that I'm ready, but I'm not. And I just take reality as a big factor into what I do in my races.
What advice would you give someone like my son in 6th grade? He's the fastest kid in this junior high. What kind of advice would you give someone like my son in 6th grade starting out?
I would just tell him to stay focused, focus on things that you want to accomplish and don't let things throw you off track. Do the best that you can in everything that you put yourself into and put your best foot forward, and to always, focus on the things that you're doing and make sure that you stay on track. Don't let the distractions throw you off of your path, especially if you know you have something big that you want to reach. You got to kind of set yourself apart sometimes and not fall into the crowd, not fall into what everybody else is doing. Sometimes if you want to be the best, you have to do what the best does and just be alone sometimes. That's sometimes what it means, because not everybody's going to be up there when you get up there.
Definitely. It's lonely at the top. And the higher you go, Jaiya, I coached at West LA College, and I was training on our practice was on the same field as Bob Kersey's practice with Sidney McLaughlin, Athing Mu, and we also had we all Jennifer Prandini. She was from Oregon, so I used to see them out there practicing all the time. But it was only 3 of them. It wasn't 50 of them. It was only 3, and then sometimes it was only 2. So you definitely have to be willing to be alone a lot, just you and the coach by yourself, and it can't bother you because that's just part of it. So being alone at the top is it's part of the journey. It's not a curse. So that's just how it is. So, and that's one thing I like to tell athletes. You think of a pyramid. You know, the higher up you go, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And once you get to the top, you're up there by yourself. So that's actually a good sign if you're by yourself. What advice would you give other parents raising young athletes? Let's start with mom first.
Wow. First of all, you want to make sure that you are teaching your child to be grounded, well-rounded, and focused. Regardless of what they're doing, how high of accomplishment they've already achieved in life, to help them to stay focused on the next goal and to not assume that they're just better, than other people in general. Understand that what you're doing is a gift and that you have to take care of that gift in every area. So in other words, not just the training and being ready to perform, but also how you handle wins, how you handle losses, and to just stay focused on the end result, which is to accomplish what your destiny is, what your goal is. And, especially if you're a believer, what God has set aside for you to do. And if you keep all of those things in perspective, especially when you have an elite athlete, it's very important to stay humble and grounded, because as sure as you're on the top today, if you're not taking care of that, and being very wise and a good steward of what you've been blessed with, then it could be snatched from you. And so staying humble helps you to appreciate the praises, but also to appreciate, the ridicule or the failures as well, because it's all designed to make you who you become. And if you handle those things with grace and with tact and, dignity, then it's a win. It's always a win. And a win is not defined by a gold medal. A win is defined by who you are as far as your character. And so if you focus on the character of your child and making sure that they are, like I say, just a great person, then they'll handle all the other things, all the other components that come with the attention that they may get, and so for us, we've been very blessed with Jaiya. For her to have done the things that she's done at such a young age, she has never walked around with a big head. She's never boasted about herself in a very distasteful fashion. As a matter of fact, she will not talk about herself unless we initiate the conversation, especially with other people, so to speak. She'd rather people not know, especially her peer group, which I think is commendable. Some people walk around thinking they have bragging rights, and, if you knew this about me, you would feel like I'm the best thing ever. And that's just not her. And so I'm grateful. More so than anything else, that's what makes me most proud, most godly proud of Jaiya, and the things that she has done is the way she handles them. And so as a parent, you want to make sure that if your child is kind of going off a little too far, that you keep them reeled in, keep them focused on this is real world. You don't just assume that because you're here that you can brag and that God gave it to you. As sure as he gave you the gift, he can take it away if you're not taking it.
That's the truth right there. It could change real quick. Dad, do you want to add to that?
Well, I'll say this. A gold medal is a win, but it does not define who you are, okay? We don't get into the game of winning to lose, although there is an asset of winning in losing, okay? pretty much you will discover who you are in a loss. And you have to be able to adjust it, to have a little rationale in that loss and come back better. When you come down to being a parent of an elite athlete, I'll say this. Use it as a tool. Use the sport or the discipline that your child is doing, whether it's a sport, dance, or whatever the case may be. It could be speech, it could be academics, but use it as a tool. And that's what we do with Jaiya. We use everything that she does because she's academically right as well. So we use it as a tool to shape Jaiya. And then we put all the other elements into parenting, curfews, the whole 9 yards. We put it all in there. And we try to balance it out so it'll be something that's worthwhile in the end. So we really instill a lot of tools in Jaiya. Me personally, as a disciplinarian, I make sure that's there. I don't want her to learn discipline on the outside.
Right.
I teach Jaiya discipline on the inside.
Right.
And with discipline comes love. If you're going to rebuke your child, make sure you love your child as well. And that's pretty much it for me.
Man, amen. So for Jaiya, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received that has helped you achieve your goals in track thus far?
I would say the advice that Jackie Joyner-Kersey's given me has probably been some of the best advice, just because, she's already been through the whole journey and she's already reached where I want to reach. So I feel like hearing from her and hearing her tell me how to go along my journey and kind of giving me guidance is definitely a blessing to hear from somebody who's already been, to the Olympics, who has a world record, somebody with all those accomplishments. It's definitely really encouraging and a blessing to be able to even hear from her.
Man, that's a legend. My sister ran at UCLA in the late 80s, and I'm from LA, so Jackie Joyner-Kersey, she's like our hero out here. Jackie Joyner-Kersey, Bob Kersey, they're like heroes out here. Question for Dad: is there a proud dad moment you'd like to share that people might not know about?
Wow, that's a good one. I'm going to say when she ran against the college kids, we wasn't supposed to be there. I enrolled Jaiya in the track meet, thinking that it was just, something to do. She was going to get accepted, and she was accepted. And we went to the track meet, and I was trying to hide Jaiya
till the race started.
So I was trying to hide Jaiya before the race started. And so when we got there and when she got on the track, so once she's on the track, we didn't do anything about it.
She's here.
It's too late. So we didn't know that the announcer was the announcer for the NCAA basketball tournament, a very well-known announcer. And he'd done his homework, and he came out there when Jaiya got on the track, and when he said in lane 6, and he read her whole resume, oh, God, I just put my hand on I wanted to run up out of the stadium, but it was too late. But the way he introduced her, it made me so proud. It made me so proud. And I was like, wow. And then she went on to win that race and won the Invitational. So that was a very proud moment. But it's one of them times where I said, oh, my God, we're going to get thrown up out of here.
Man.
But they were so happy to have her. And I think they advertised that she was going to be there. I missed the advertisement.
Okay. Where was it at? What state? What was the meet?
Des Moines, Iowa, as Jaiya would say, Iowa, Des Moines, at Drake Stadium. Cherie, do you remember what invitational that was?
Drake Lakes Invitation, I think.
Yeah. It was the big one.
Yeah.
And she went on to win it. And it made me very proud. But that's one of those moments where I'm like, whoa, I guess Jaiya has arrived.
Man. How about you, Mom?
Well, ironically, my most proud moment, I guess, since it brought me to tears, would be, it wasn't an actual race. It was actually when she was on a panel, and she was invited to participate on a panel. It was a Black History Month panel of Black women breaking glass ceilings. And Jaiya had just turned 12 years old that previous December. And it was the panel that she was invited to sit on with Jackie Joyner Kersee. And there was a doctor from Johns Hopkins. And then there was the other woman was the first like female coach for an NFL team or something. I can't think of their names. Oh, Jennifer King. That's right. And so they invited Jaiya to this, and it was virtual at the time because this was, really when it was just, we were really still going through COVID. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching my child on this platform with these, legends, as I've already referred to Miss Jackie Joyner Kersee and these other women. And they were just pouring into her, and she handled herself with such class and just responded so eloquently. The narrator was just taken aback by her. He was just, mesmerized by her conduct and the way she responded. And he asked them to pour into her, like to say things to her that, would encourage her. And, he just talked about this young lady and I just was in tears. I'm standing on the background watching her. And it just brought me to tears to know that God had put her on that level of a stage with these women who, have already been through all types of things in life that now have brought them to this level of accomplishment. And they were being recognized, and they brought Jaiya into this circle. And to me, that just meant so much that, first of all, she had been recognized, but secondly, how she handled herself in that moment, and then them pouring into her at the end. They were saying, keep doing what you're doing. And, it was a moment for me that I just will never forget. And so I literally was just in tears. That was the first time that I cried after she had went viral and, was getting all this attention. We had been on several platforms already, several talk shows, and most of the stuff was like posts that people were doing, or something like Yahoo Sports, and just she had been in several sessions, and all of them were very commendable, and we were honored and humbled by each opportunity she was given. Right this minute, TV shows were just coming and posting her all over the internet and all over their shows, and so it wasn't the first time it happened. It was just that it was the most captivating.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those were giants that were speaking to her.
Right.
So
that was speaking to her. She's sitting right there in the mix,
yes.
Talking and holding her own.
Yeah.
It was just, yeah.
Well, you belong there, Jaiya. You were there because you belong there and you deserve to be there. Yes. So if you didn't deserve to be there and if you didn't belong there, you wouldn't be there. So
yes.
So Jaiya, what other projects do you have going on outside of track and field?
Well, yes, I do modeling as well. So I model for Justice for Kids, and I've had a lot of stuff with them as well. And then I'm also coming out with a book soon, and I have my seasoning called Cinnarron, and I also have my popcorn seasoning. So those are my other big things that I have going on.
You guys
and my song.
And your song, okay.
Well,
so you have seasoning, like food seasoning?
Yeah.
Really? Well, so what? Tell me about, because I cook, so tell me about the seasoning.
What are the Yes. Okay. This one is the Cinnarron. It's like a cinnamon and salty and sugar.
Hey.
So yeah, let me explain it to you. Okay. This is Cinnarron, and it's salty and sweet. So you put it on your popcorn, or you can make French toast. I use it to make pancakes and cakes. So it pretty much gives it a good flavor. But the popcorn is banging on your popcorn.
Okay. My son loves popcorn. Yeah.
We'll send you some.
Jaiya, how can people stay connected with your journey and support your endeavors?
Well, they can definitely follow me on Instagram at Jaiya Patillo Official. And they can also go to my website, jaiyapatillo.net. And those are pretty much the main things, right?
What are your top 3 schools right now that you'd like to run for?
I would say Texas A&M is definitely one of them. Oregon, or I know you're thinking.
Well, go USC.
USC. Oh, West Coast. Nice. That's great. Okay, so Oregon, I'm gonna see what's up with Oregon. So, yeah, definitely. Here's the rapid fire questions. What's your go-to hype song before a race?
I don't know if I have a go-to hype song, but I like Unstoppable God by Corinne Hawthorne. That's one of my favorite songs. So it's been... No, the one she made. Corinne Hawthorne. Yeah. Probably one of my favorites.
If you weren't a track athlete, what sport would you play?
That's a good one. I've wanted to do tennis for a while, so maybe that one.
Tennis. If you could race against any athlete in history, who would it be?
If I could race against them?
Race against them.
Yeah, I don't
With
think
the
Oh, with the head. Flojo. Flojo or like Jackie Jordan Kersey, one of them. If I got a head start. One I got a head start.
Next question. Favorite cheat meal after a big win?
That's a good one because I do love my cheat meals. Probably like crumble. Probably crumble. That's my favorite. That's my go-to. Crumble cookies.
Crumble cookies. Is that a name of like a company or just?
You never heard of crumble?
Oh, so that's the name of a company.
It is a franchise. They have like a cookie store.
Okay.
Yeah, they have cookie stores all around. They do more than cookies now, but they used to mostly be only be.
Do you make cookies?
Yes, I bake a lot.
Your excitement sounds like you make cookies.
That would have been a good question. The things that I do, like my father.
Yes.
Because I love drawing. I love baking, singing. I have a lot of things that I like to do. A lot of hobbies.
Well, we're going to be following you the next couple of years, so we'll be able to talk more. I have one more question. One word that describes you on the track.
One word. I would say that word is either fierce or fast. Those 2 words describe me.
Fierce and fast. I like it. Okay, that brings us to the end. Jaiya Patillo and her parents, Kevin and Cherie. I'm really thankful and grateful for you guys. You know, I know it's getting late over there, so I appreciate your time. Jaiya, I've been following you for a couple of years now. I think I accidentally I typed my name into the search bar and your name came up and I was like, what? Someone else has my name and she runs track, and I clicked on it. And I'm so glad that your parents are running your page. I mean, it's great that you guys are running the page too. Especially the next couple of years that are coming up, because there's going to be a lot of people reaching out to you guys, and all kind of people are just going to be trying to pull her different directions. So, Jaiya, I think it's great that you know your parents are doing that, and you can just concentrate on running. Just focus on your school, focus on training, and then everything else is just a distraction. So anything that takes you away from training and your school, it's just a distraction. And yeah, I just want to say thank you guys, and good luck the rest of this week training and the rest of the year. And I'm looking forward to bringing you back in the future. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Any other shout outs you want to give? Anything you guys want to say before we close?
My shout out will be to you, sir. Thank you so much for having us and for, welcoming Jaiya onto your platform. and just for just giving her this opportunity to share her story. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, guys.